Today we're here with Ali Chaudhry from OpenBots, and he's the Chief Security Officer. And so, Ali, thank you so much for being here.
Nice to be here, Ryan. Thanks for having me.
So, OpenBots, what do you do?
Yeah, OpenBots is the world's most flexible enterprise RPA platform. RPA stands for Robotic Process Automation.
Cool.
It's basically a platform where you can go in and create bots or digital workers to help with a lot of the repetitive and manual tasks that happen across the organization.
So give me an example of who your customer would be.
So our customers in the healthcare space, it's going to be, both on the payer and the provider side. On the provider side, the areas that we really kind of help with, in healthcare, there's so many disparate systems, right? And there's a lot of manual work that has to get done on top of those.
For sure.
Right? It's not API friendly, if you will. And so I think where we come in is things like interoperability, right? Extracting data. Once you have extracted data, you can pull from the different systems. The bots can be trained to pull it out, process it, put it back into a different system, create reporting. There's revenue cycle management. So a lot of these are very people-intensive type of tasks, and that's where the bots really kind of, you can program them. And what they're essentially doing is they're decreasing processing times by about 70%, and they're eliminating 100% of the errors because they're bots following a set of rules as opposed to people manually going through the sequence.
Yeah, I always think about the old manufacturing pick lines for assembly.
Yeah.
And then once it went to the robots moving the arms, like they're exacting, right?
Yeah.
So,
That's right. The first wave of robotic automation was on the manufacturing and industrial floor, right? This is now the more office-friendly automation.
So, as far as amongst your customers, I want to talk a little bit about like the actual challenge. If you could help bring me down to who in the office will welcome their new digital worker overlords.
Yeah,
I mean companions. Companions.
Yeah, that's right. They're friendly. They're all friendly. But I would say that it's going to be very heavy in two areas. One is on the finance side. Anyone who's kind of in charge of the billing, whether it's work around the coding, right? Inputting data into the systems for reimbursements, doing follow-up for reimbursement. These are areas where the bots can really provide a lot of assistance. And then also there's the data from the different EHRs and EMRs, right? And there's reporting that needs to get done. So it's, I think, helpful that it reduces the burden from the team and creates more consistency in terms of generating reports for management as well and for the consumption of that data.
So what I'm hearing is that because, imagine this in healthcare, systems don't naturally talk to one another.
Yeah.
There is I go into one system, log in, pull some information, and then I put it into another piece of software, right? And that's the human portion, and so your digital worker is given the same access as if they were a person at a workstation. Go into this field, copy, paste, move into this. Is that simple?
Yeah, that's exactly it. I think, when we say digital, there you go, you figured it out in 10 seconds. When we say digital employee, I think you encapsulated it well. It's almost as if they have a virtual machine where you provide credentials just like you would to your employee. They can use those credentials to log in, follow a set of rules, right? Whatever those rules are, whether it's log into system 1, manipulate the data in this fashion or that fashion, put the data into system 2, create a report, email the report. All of those are very manual, repetitive, rules-based steps. And so as long as you have a set of rules, the bots can be trained to follow that. And they run on virtual machines, just like an employee would have a laptop or a desktop, and they use credentials that your company gives them. It's the same thing. They piggyback on your internal security infrastructure, just like another employee, only digital.
And what I have to imagine is interesting is that given how many people are doing remote computer work, this is probably going to be, by and large, a fairly transparent process. It's just one less confusing phone call.
Yeah, that's right. And I think the best way to think about it is it's moving everybody up the value chain, right? If you take the average employee in almost any department, whether it's finance, marketing, operations, 30% of their time is spent doing some sort of repetitive grunt work, right? Things that you don't love to do, but you have to do.
Absolutely.
And so if you can offload that to the bots, then the rest of that time can get reinvested into more customer-facing, management-facing, subjective type of work, which ultimately leads to more employee satisfaction as well, right? Because now you're doing the more interesting, thought-provoking work, and all the repetitive manual stuff is offloaded to these bots.
I've seen the whole Internet of Things in the industrial side, the Industry 4.0, and there was all of this fear of, oh no, we're going to have these virtual machines that are taking people's jobs, that actually, to your point, that's never actually the case. It's helping people focus where human judgment is required, where a relationship is required. And so it is just offloading some of the drudgery that really is passé. It's out of style.
Yeah, and that's right. I mean, I think there is like that, fear of, oh, the robot's going to come in and do this. They're basically assistants that do the grunt work for you so you can focus on what humans should be doing, right? Which is more thought-provoking.
So tell me, what is it about OpenBots that uniquely qualifies you and OpenBots to solve this problem? What's your special sauce, or the thing that you really you're proud of?
Yeah, so RPA has been very hot in the Fortune 1000 space in terms of, the move towards digital transformation. The issue is, in the beginning it was, the promise was that you'd have hundreds of bots across every organization, and it never actually happened. It never scaled, and the reason is the existing vendors charge, up to $10,000, $12,000 per bot, and as you get to 10 bots, 50 bots, 100 bots, that cost is not really scalable, right? It's actually, the efficiency you're supposed to get from automation is taken out. OpenBots is actually a zero license platform. So any automations that you run on-prem, whether it's on your infrastructure or on the cloud, it's zero license. So you could create 1,000 bots and it's zero license. So our mission was more about scalability so that you could spend less on renting the technology and spend more on building more bots and more automations and driving efficiency.
What I find fascinating is how many times just changing the pricing structure or the business model gets some of the human emotional elements out, right? Like a pricing structure that charges per bot puts a barrier in the way of actually fulfilling the promise, right? More bots equals more time savings, right? And you'd think, oh, it's a cost benefit. We're just a cheaper, lower cost human worker, when that's not the case, right? What you're licensing is the automation, not the task.
Yeah, that's right. You license the actual automation under the current models. By removing that friction, it allows companies to go deeper into each division to say, what are the different tasks that I want to automate? And when you don't have that friction of per bot licensing, you can go through and automate a lot more and truly gain the efficiency, right? So if you take cost savings, but then you're redistributing that money towards licensing, it's kind of a wash. So we designed our model more around scalability. We have a support-based model with some cloud solutions that are optional add-ons to help you get the most out of the platform. But net, it's about an 85 to 90% savings relative to the current commercial models out there. So it's redistributing that expense towards building more automations.
That's awesome. So tell me about the training process. I know machine learning models. And, are you feeding them, like your bots, are they learning how to optimize on their own, or is it really just a rigid, micromanaged employee that don't stray from the path? I'm curious.
Yeah, so I would say it's a mix of both. The core bots themselves are rules-based. Now you can program the rules to get more complex. So if option A execute steps 1 through 10, if option B, use steps 11 through 20. So the rules can be added to create complexity, but the bots themselves are rules-based. And then we have another component on document processing where we have machine learning. So you can build templates, and the more data you feed through there, it starts to learn those templates, get smarter at identifying, and so that's where the machine learning comes in, is more in the intelligent document processing side.
Is that kind of like how like Google spreadsheets every once in a while go, hey, you didn't ask for this data, but would this be interesting to you? I mean, is it something along those lines?
It's in a similar vein. It's it's basically the more data that passes through, the machine starts to recognize and get better with the pattern, right? So for example, if you kept feeding images of trees through and showed hundreds of different trees, it's going to start to get smarter and recognize many different variances, right? And it won't trip up as much. So that's where machine learning comes in, is the more it sees, the better it's the more accurate it becomes, and then it gets rid of a lot of those exceptions and it becomes a more intelligent process.
So in this training process, is there a human in the loop component where you go through kind of like your Instacart order where you're like, yeah, that's a substitute that I would accept. You know, that's a good substitute. I mean,
so I would say the human in this process is more about framing the model, right? What does the template look like? So it's structuring it, and then you want to look at it. You want to constantly be, and this was in the machine learning AI sessions yesterday, and this was a hot topic. The AI is there to become more intelligent, but without human configuration and setting the models and setting the rules, the AI is not very helpful, right? So you've got to, narrow the scope of what is the problem you're trying to solve, create the models, monitor the progress, tweak things in your model, and over time, if you follow those components, you'll have an incredibly intelligent machine learning process that's going to reduce the inaccuracies in the work.
Let's say, for instance, I wanted to hire an entire army of digital workers to automate some nefarious, very legitimate plot. Plan, project, we'll go with that. So I may not have the skills to teach these bots what to do, build these models. What does that look like for a hospital or a practice group? That, do they need a specialist? Is this something that you provide? You do matchmaking? I'd like to hear a little about this.
That's a good question, and I think that's, our OpenBots itself is the platform that enables the creation of these digital workers. But to actually create them, you need someone with basic development skills, right? It could be a little bit of citizen development, but also they need some, knowledge of like rules-based logic. But we actually have a network, a global network of implementation partners who specialize in developing these robots, and they're certified on OpenBots. So while OpenBots has programs to help you get started with your first couple of bots, as soon as you need to scale, we have an entire network of very high-end, and the cost structure can also be kind of managed. We have some that are onshore in different countries, so you can kind of pick your geography, pick your cost structure, and we'll partner you up with the right company to help you deliver those solutions. So from a business standpoint, you don't need to have in-house development resources. We can easily set you up with the right resources and get you digital employees up and running pretty quickly.
This sounds just like anytime you buy a CRM or marketing automation or any of these tools where out of the box, it's really not fit for how your business operates. So you usually bring someone in to configure it and build it. So it's a similar service model.
Exactly, and
there's a bunch of partners.
Just like you're right. Just like Salesforce might have a whole universe of consultants who help you build out the complex logic. We have clients who have in-house developers, and they take it on-prem, build hundreds of bots, zero license. And then we have the other end of the spectrum, which is like, we love automation, we want to do it, but we don't have the bandwidth or the teams. And so we'll help them build their first few bots, and then we'll pull in partners to build, go from bot 10 to 100.
What is the one thing that people kind of walk away, or they kind of have that double take, or they lean into the conversation? Like, what is the thing about OpenBots where like, wait, you said what? Or huh?
Yeah.
What's the big light bulb moment?
I think it's the fact that you can cut your processing times by 70%, you eliminate errors, and you're doing it all on a platform that does not charge per bot, right? So you truly can build a lot of automation, achieve the digital transformation, and there's just a lot more efficiency, right? And so I think it's the twofold. It's the execution, what the value is back to your company, and then the kicker is the revenue model that we have is very customer friendly, very scalable.
I think what you've got is a platform for building a capability for digital automation.
Yeah.
Right?
I am shocked, Ryan, that you actually picked up on that so quickly. We actually view ourselves as a disruptor in the industry because we are positioning OpenBots more as an operating system for automation.
Yeah.
So if you think about what Amazon did for retail, right? You could be an average retailer and have a global e-commerce business, right? Almost overnight, because they handle all of the infrastructure. We're doing the same for automation, where we've got the platform that allows corporates, companies to build on it. You've got implementation partners who can build their entire managed services businesses on it.
Yeah.
And you have platform companies like HealthJump that can create a layer of automation extensions that they can offer to their customers for that last mile.
That's awesome. So thank you for talking all about digital workers and automation. This has been really great. So thanks for sharing your story. And where could people learn more about OpenBots?
They can learn more about OpenBots on our website. It's openbots.ai.
Cool.
And I want to say, it's incredibly impressive what HealthJump has built in terms of, solving the interoperability problem. The fact that you can pull that much data across, 150 plus systems, it's very incredible. So I think layering the bots on top of that is just a match made in heaven.
I love to hear that. So thank you so much.
Right. Okay, thanks so much, Ryan.
Yep.